This is the thing. The hiring of Matt Rife completely contradicts everything that e.l.f. Cosmetics has presented themselves to be, specifically for the past 6 years when they have had tremendous growth, and they have had that growth due to who they have presented themselves to be.
To create a makeup collection with Made by Mitchell. First of all, and most of all, I want to apologise to Malachi for how this experience has felt for him and how it's made him feel, and for not being able to push this through the gate the way that I intended to when I first did the full face of Colour Case.
The next story is a horribly sad one, and I actually just found out about this in my time last night, and I was absolutely devastated. When I tell you my heart sank into my stomach, my heart sank into my stomach. Sharon Chuter, founder of Uoma Beauty, has passed away.
So the news did not stop newsing while I was on vacation last week.
Oh my gosh, did it pop off? It popped off so hard, I had to go over to my TikTok and just be like, y'all, I'm on vacation, but I have to share this with you. I also put some stuff up on my Instagram, so if you are on those platforms and you are not following me there, highly recommend you do. But now I am home and I dug deep into the big stories that have happened over the past 2 weeks, and I'm just gonna let you know this is a very long episode of What's Up in Makeup, but I promise you it is jam-packed with stories that you need to know what is happening across the beauty industry all in one place, because you are watching What's Up in Makeup, and we need to jump right into the biggest story that happened, and that is e.l.f.'s commercial fail. I swear this was not on my bingo card for the year, because e.l.f. has set themselves up to be a certain type of brand. You know, the brands kind of set themselves up with a personality, right? And we talk about how, would we be friends with this brand? Do they have the same values? Well, this is a reminder that brands are not people, because they just flipped the script. e.l.f. hired for a commercial a man named Matt Rife. And if you are like me, you have never heard of this man. I have never heard of this man. So in a nutshell, Matt Rife is a guy who blew up on social media for being a stereotypical cute guy who, when he does his comedy shows, he talks to his audience and he kind of goes off the cuff. He's extremely popular, at least he was extremely popular at one point, with young women. He currently has nearly 20 million followers over on TikTok and nearly 11 million followers on Instagram. Now, in 2023, he made a choice, and the choice was part of a Netflix special that he filmed in Washington, D.C. The special is called Natural Selection. And as he opened up the comedy show, he was talking about the area, and he was talking about Baltimore and how he was in Baltimore and he was eating at a restaurant, and this happened.
I've only been to Baltimore one time. I ate lunch there, and the hostess who like seats you at the restaurant had a black eye. A full black eye. It wasn't like, what happened? It was pretty obvious what happened. And we couldn't get over the fact that we're like, this is the face of the company? Like, this is who you have greeting people? And my boy who I was with was like, yeah, I feel bad for her, man. I feel like they should, put her in the kitchen or something where nobody has to see her face, And I was like, yeah, but I feel like if she could cook, she wouldn't have that black eye. So, just testing the water, seeing if y'all are gonna be fun or not. Just wanted to see. I figured if we start the show with domestic violence, the rest of the show should be pretty smooth sailing after that.
There was immediate backlash from advocates and victims of domestic violence saying that this joke just crossed a line. Now, we talk about all the time on What's Up in Makeup that it's not just about the choice you make, but it's what you do afterward. And Matt Rife basically was like, he put up an Instagram story and the text read, if you've ever been offended by a joke I've told, here's a link to my official apology. The button said tap to solve your issue, and clicking it led to a medical shop for special needs helmets. Matt then said on an interview that he really wasn't targeting his comedy toward women, that he really wanted to target his comedy toward men. As I was browsing through his social media and trying to get a vibe for who Matt is and what his typical comedy style is, I found this joke as well, reinforcing stereotypes about Black people.
Black dude, thank you for being here, first and foremost. You might be it. What do you do? A financial analyst. Sure you're black? It's a very white job. That doesn't sound fun at all. Oh, you must be terrible at basketball. To end up a financial analyst. You got a gun? No gun? You sure you're black? It's the second time. Okay, that warrants the question then. Somebody breaks into your house, what's your first line of defense? What would you do to defend yourself? You gonna fight him? Okay, Kimbo Slice. What do you mean you're gonna fight him? You have a background in martial arts? He said, I'm a black man. As soon as I stand up, yeah, but chances are, they're also black.
Of course, no group is a monolith, and in the comments next to this video, there are people saying that they're Black and they're not offended, and they actually thought the joke was funny. And I'm sure there were many women that were not offended by the domestic violence joke, but I'm here to tell you, and this is very important, that that's not the point of this story, whether you thought the joke was funny or not. The point of the story has to do with the pairing of Matt Rife and e.l.f. Cosmetics specifically. Now, e.l.f.'s global chief marketing officer, her name is Corey Marchesotto. She did an interview with Business of Beauty, and in that she said that they hired Matt specifically because of the brand's overlap with the target female Gen Z audience. She told them that Matt's TikTok base was 80% female and 75% under the age of 34, quote, so right in the sweet spot, but this was not sweet at all. She said that rather than focusing on Matt's past content, her team looked at his current content, and she said that the responses in his comment section were overwhelmingly positive at 80%. Quote, we are very much known for operating in real time. That's what it means to be in the cultural zeitgeist. So we're not looking in the rear view mirror when we're operating the real-time marketing machine. And that was a huge mistake because, of course, the comments under his post are going to be mostly positive. They're the people that follow him. That doesn't make any sense, Corey. I think Corey's smarter than this. This just doesn't make any sense. Anyway, this is the thing. The hiring of Matt Rife completely contradicts everything that e.l.f. Cosmetics has presented themselves to be, specifically for the past 6 years when they have had tremendous growth, and they have had that growth due to who they have presented themselves to be. Not to discredit that they also create more affordable and higher quality products at that price point than a lot of their competitors. It's important to remember that back in 2018, e.l.f. was not doing well. They were struggling. They closed all of their freestanding stores and they doubled down on their social media marketing, as well as the push for e.l.f. Cosmetics in major retailers like Target and Walmart. But it really was their ad campaigns that pushed e.l.f. to the next level. They had that huge eyes, lips, face song on TikTok that celebrities were even singing, and then they went into the collaborations. Do you remember the original e.l.f. and Chipotle collaboration? That thing blew up in 2020. They followed that with the ad campaign for the e.l.f. and Dunkin' collab that also went viral. And it was the ad campaign, it was the forward face of the brand that really catapulted them into the spotlight. They were witty, they were different, and they were engaging. But it wasn't just these fun campaigns that made people fall in love with e.l.f., it was also their brand advocacy. They consistently had the story of that they had a very diverse board, a very diverse team over at e.l.f., and that was what was leading them to be so successful, was this diversity. They also did campaigns that celebrated putting more women in the boardrooms. The one that they did that stands out to me the most was the one that was called So Many Dicks, and basically it was like playing off of the name Richard. and saying that basically there's too many men in the boardroom. We need to get more women in. The one that was most recent that I feel like is most applicable here is the Show Yourself campaign. This is when they highlighted Amanda Wynn. Amanda Wynn, you may recognize her because she was just on that rocket ship that went up with Katy Perry. She is an incredible human being. She's a sexual assault survivor, and she found out that the kits that are collected after a sexual assault are often destroyed after a specific period of time. So she worked tirelessly with federal legislators to pass federal laws to protect sexual assault survivors. And of course, that is critically important that they've set themselves up this way because they collaborated with Matt Rife. Now, also in this commercial, they chose drag queen Heidi N Closet. She was on Drag Race, and she is overall, from what I've seen on the internet, I tried to look, I've never seen Drag Race, I'm so sorry, but I don't know much about her, but from what I've read, she's very well loved in the drag community. Not perfect, but well loved. Now, at this point, I do want to play you the commercial so you can see exactly what it was.
Hey girl, has overpriced beauty hurt your wallet?
E.l.f. that.
Alfino and Schmarns have gone to E.l.f. Court for millions of clients, helping them to access beauty products they deserve at prices that won't injure their livelihoods.
Just ask the elfing people.
I know a thing or two about red flags, and pricey makeup, you deserve better than that.
You may be entitled to benefits.
Let's get you those eyes, lips, funds.
Find out what your case and face are really worth.
Call us at 1-855-COLD-HARD-LASH.
That's 1-855-265-34.
273-2274.
How people gonna remember that?
Well, here's a number you can remember. $9.
Alfino and Schwartz, affordable beauty attorneys. We'll win the elfing case for your eyes, lips, and face. Call 1-855-265-3427.
373-2274.
Call me.
So let's just take a minute and talk about the commercial itself, because honestly, it sucks. Compared to e.l.f.'s other commercials, I'm thinking Cosmetic Criminals. I'm thinking about the commercial that they did with Liquid Death. I'm thinking about the ones they did with Jennifer Coolidge for the Super Bowl. Like, these were epic, amazing, hilarious, fabulous commercials. This one sucks. It's not even funny. And like, on its face, like, I don't care who was in the commercial, it was just not a funny or good commercial. But I don't think that this shift in e.l.f.'s branding happened with the Matt Rife commercial. I actually think it happened right before this. About 3 months ago, they released the Not a One Trick Pony campaign, and it really sat with me wrong, but I didn't see anybody else talking about it, so I was like, well, maybe I'm being too sensitive, maybe I'm seeing something that's not there. I didn't trust myself on it, but I want to play it for you and see what you think.
e.l.f. Halo Glow Liquid Filter isn't just a one-trick pony. It can be used alone, under foundation, or as a highlighter. Glow booster. All in one affordable, cruelty-free product.
Excuse me. Okay, the term one-trick pony is actually very offensive. Just because Josh over there only knows one trick doesn't mean we're all like that. I actually know a lot of tricks. I can do this. I can do impressions. That was my mom. Also, I do magic. Is this your card? 7 of hearts? No?
e.l.f. Halo Glow, not just a one-trick pony.
We just talked about this.
e.l.f. Halo Glow, a many-trick pony.
The correct term is a multi-talented small-boned horse.
e.l.f. Halo Glow, a multi-talented small-boned horse.
Thank you.
I don't know if you see it, but to me, this feels like making fun of quote unquote woke culture, of people who look out for other people, who may be upset when they are judged or portrayed inaccurately. It's a joke on that. And ugh. And in hindsight, this feels almost like a warm-up for the Matt Rife collaboration. Kind of leading us into, if you take things too seriously, then you're the one that's wrong. But people did take the Matt Rife collaboration very seriously. If you go over to e.l.f. social media, you'll see a ton of comments, not every comment, but a ton of comments really upset about the hiring of Matt Rife. A lot of them reference that domestic violence joke that Matt made in the Netflix special in 2023. Now, of course, people were wondering, is e.l.f. going to say anything, or are they just going to move on? They did say something. This was their statement. You know us. We're always listening, and we've heard you. This campaign aimed to humorously spotlight beauty and justice. We understand we missed the mark with people we care about in our e.l.f. community. While Elfino and Schmarms, which was the campaign, closes today, we'll continue to make the case against overpriced beauty. Now, like we said, it's not just about what you do, it's about what you do after. And one thing I was thinking as I was reading this is that this must have been very carefully crafted by a team of people. These words were chosen very carefully, and obviously this is not an apology. I don't think it was meant to be an apology. It was meant to be a reflection. It's an acknowledgement of the backlash. It is the one-trick pony coming to life in a statement. It's a joke, guys. We hear you. We hear you're upset, but it was just a joke and the campaign's over now, so let's just keep moving on. I want to go back for a second to the Business of Beauty article interview with Corey Marchesotto. She stated, obviously, we're very surprised. There's a big gap between our intention and how this missed the mark for some people. We always aim to deliver positivity, and this one didn't. So we find ourselves in a position where, quite honestly, that doesn't feel good for us. So if it doesn't feel good for them, why aren't they apologizing? I have some theories. First theory is that this campaign has gotten everyone talking, including me and many people across the internet, about e.l.f. Cosmetics, which is essentially free advertising. Engagement equals more eyes, even if it's negative. The second point is that e.l.f.'s demographic, who they're going after, who they said they're going after, is younger Gen Z audiences. And we know that younger Gen Z audiences tend to brush things off a lot more than the older Gen Zs, millennials, and Gen Xers. I don't know about boomers. If you're a boomer, let me know how you feel about this. I mean, think about Michaela Nogueira's unbothered queen persona and how she's thriving. Jaclyn Hill joking about the contaminated lipsticks years later. The entirety of the fact that James Charles is still on social media and thriving. A lot of younger people just don't care. And what brands are learning is that over-apologizing or just basic apologizing can make a brand look weak in these kids' eyes. Not apologizing protects the image in the eyes of these customers. And people like myself, people like Robert Welsh, who made a video on this, we're most likely not coming back. So why talk to us? Why talk to the people that are upset? Talk to the customers who may still be there. And in that, an apology probably wouldn't be the smartest move. And of course, this is a reminder to me and a reminder to maybe you that brands are not people. They genuinely aren't, especially big brands. Small brands, maybe they're run by a very small team, but these big brands, they've got one objective, and that's money. And whatever gets them the money, that's the direction they're gonna go. So the question is, will this get them more money? Or will this be the first quarter where customers decide, you know what, this has crossed the line and we're not gonna buy from e.l.f. anymore because e.l.f. has had 26 quarters of growth. 26 quarters. That is, since they started putting out all these campaigns, celebrating women, supporting abuse survivors, talking about diversity, they've built this 26 quarters of growth on that brand ethos. Now they've flipped the script. Will this be the first quarter that they drop down? I am really curious to see what's going to happen next. On the last episode of What's Up in Makeup, we talked about Youthforia closing, and we talked about how the reason why I felt like Youthforia couldn't make a comeback was because they never learned the lesson of the fail of Shade 600. Now, if you don't know what I'm talking about, I have a plethora of videos on it. I will link last week's episode of What's Up in Makeup down in the video description if you want to catch up on that, but that's not what this story is about. This story is about another indie beauty brand who made a similar but different mistake not long after the Youthforia scandal named Scrandie Beauty. I did cover it here on What's Up in Makeup. Here's a clip to get you caught up.
Yasmin is launching 5 contour shades. I'll put the shades on the screen for you, and you can see clearly that the intention was to release a line that everybody could use one shade. Of course, she's a small indie brand. She can only do 5 shades, but she tried really hard hard to do a light shade all the way to the deepest shade so that it would work for as many people as possible. Along with a lot of posts promoting how the product works because it is a unique format. She also has quite a few posts specifically targeting Black creators with deep, rich skin tones and how she wants to target them to review her product. She even has a wish list of creators that she wants to try her product on camera.
I'm launching this innovative contour blend. The love and support I've received is amazing. There are 4 influencers that I really have in mind to try this. Nadal, Tony Bravo, Naya, Dolly, and Gloria. 2 down, 2 to go. And yes, I'm nervous for Gloria to try this, but I'm really excited.
One creator that she definitely has her eye on, very obviously, because she has had a lot of press behind her for this specific issue of shade range extensions, is Gloria George. Naturally, any brand that is launching an inclusive shade range would want Gloria's endorsement. Absolutely, it's going to lead to a massive amount of sales. But the way Yasmin goes about this is just, it's not good.
The support you guys have showed in the comments, like I was just telling my husband, like everyone's tagging Gloria. I don't even think I said to tag her, but like, wow. Thank you for the support. I have a strong feeling she will see it, whether it's through someone else's post or maybe she'll see the tons of Gloria comments. But I am one step ahead of you guys and I have one unit set aside for her for when she wants it.
She posted something that's now deleted. I didn't get a screenshot of it. Again, tagging Gloria, saying basically, from what I understand, from what I've seen, Gloria, come to my defense. You know, use my product and prove to everybody that it is a good product and that it works well for deep, dark skin tones, which is not Gloria's job. It's not her job. She has a choice to review what she wants and she owes nobody anything. I had a feeling that this was going to explode, and it did when Gloria responded. To note, Gloria is at Fashion Week right now. She's out living her best life. On her Instagram, pictures of her at Fashion Week, hanging out, dancing with her friends, tagging friends, having a good old time. And then there's 2 posts on her Instagram stories specifically about Scrandie. She was being tagged so much that she stopped her fun evening in order to address this. And I do want to read this all the way out because I think that the message that Gloria sends is so important and is kind of the crux of this whole story. And I want you to hear it directly from Gloria, not a summary from me. This is what she did. She posted her message that she sent directly to Yasmin. Yasmin had been reaching out to her. Gloria posted what she told her. This is what she said. This is odd. For the founder to expect me to shut down trolls is furthering the issue of how the world treats dark-skinned women and creatives. It places the burden of handling negative reactions on me, rather than addressing the root problem of tone inclusion. This shifts responsibility from the brand, which should be managing its own image and audience response, onto the creator, making them deal with harmful comments and trolls. It also sends a message that the brand is not fully supporting the creator, instead using them as a shield against backlash. This intensifies the feelings of exploitation, as I'm left to defend both the brand and myself without adequate backing, which could further harm both my well-being and the brand's reputation. It also highlights the brand's failure to engage in meaningful conversations about inclusivity, instead resorting to reactive measures that don't address the core issues.
Well, it seems like things are not going well over at Scrandie Beauty, specifically with this contour launch and the sale of the deeper shades. It seems that the inclusion and the creation of these deeper shades didn't give them the financial boost that they had expected. This was posted to the Scrandie Beauty Instagram on August 19th.
Sure. This shade range is a result of a self-funded, one-person brand offering 5 contour shades in their first launch. Expanding a shade range requires substantial investment and demand, which is often driven by market popularity. Criticism without support can hinder our ability to grow and invest in more diverse offerings. The internet has allowed people to disguise themselves as warriors for change, when in fact their ridicule and criticism actually deters brands from expanding. It's those that see the vision, see the hard work, see the inclusivity, and choose to invest in it that are actually warriors for change.
Though I don't think Scrandie's original issue is the same as Youthforia, I do feel like Yasmin's lack of understanding of what happened and why is the problem here. Let's go over again what she said, and I'll explain to you what my personal beef with it is. So she starts off saying, the shade range is a result of a self-funded one-person brand offering 5 contour shades in their first launch. Fair, that was never the problem in my eyes. The problem was the way she treated influencers at the launch, which of course she doesn't mention. She continues, expanding a shade range requires substantial investment and demand, which is often driven by market popularity. Criticism without support can hinder our ability to grow and invest in more diverse offerings. I interpret this as the deeper shades just aren't selling. And beyond her pissing off Black customers at the launch of this product, I think the way that she's handled this shade range since then has just not been great. Yasmin relies very heavily on swatches on her own skin tone. And I will be honest with you, she's very creative. She has a lot of really cute content over there, but I don't think that these posts are going to increase the likelihood that Black customers are going to buy her products. In a TikTok video that she shared around the same time, she talks about how her most popular shades are the 2 middle shades, which happen to be the 2 shades that look best on her. Going back to what she said on the Instagram post, she continued, the internet has allowed people to disguise themselves as warriors for change when in fact their ridicule and criticism actually deters brands from expanding. It's those that see the vision, see the hard work, and see the inclusivity and choose to invest in it that are actually warriors for change. To me, this is the line that everything goes wrong. She's putting the burden of the growth of her brand on customers instead of herself. Customers do not owe brands anything. Just like you don't owe me a view on my content, YouTube doesn't owe me anything for my hard work. I have to put in that work. I have to create content that you want to click on. She has to create products and ad campaigns that convince people to buy her products over all of the other choices on the market. And it seems like she's focusing on marketing it to people of her own skin tone. So why is she surprised that the deeper skin tones are not selling? What I hear here is, look, I made shades for you and you're not buying them. Therefore, I'm not going to create any more things for you because you were just performative in saying you wanted these things and now you're not buying it. So it's going to stop me from making things for you. Let me offer an alternative path. Hire some micro influencers who match those shades, who those shades would look good on, and then repost those on your social media. In order to sell to a target market, you have to market to those people, and that's something that Scrandie just isn't doing. In my opinion, this post on Yasmin's socials shows me that she absolutely, just like Youthforia, did not learn what she did wrong and why people were upset. She's just pushing forward. What she did was she leaned on Black creators in clear, in my opinion, performative allyship, expecting financial gain instead of doing the work to make those products appeal to people with deeper skin tones. She didn't try to build authentic relationships and she didn't gain trust with that customer base. Frankly, doubling down on the I deserve sales narrative is just, to me, unprofessional. It's just straight up unprofessional. And if she didn't get it the first time, I honestly doubt that she'll get it now. The next story is a horribly sad one, and I actually just found out about this in my time last night, and I was absolutely devastated. When I tell you my heart sank into my stomach, my heart sank into my stomach. Sharon Chuter, founder of Uoma Beauty, has passed away. The Los Angeles Medical Examiner said that she died on August 14th on a patio. Her death is listed as deferred, which means that it is still under investigation. If you are not familiar with Sharon, she was a true trailblazer in the purest definition of the word. She started Uoma Beauty in 2019 with the goal of making everyone feel included. Her shade range had 51 shades of foundation, and it was a beautiful shade range, and that was the whole point, was to make everybody feel like they belonged with Uoma Beauty. The company supported frontline workers during the COVID-19 pandemic, and what she's probably best known for is the Pull Up for Change movement. She challenged beauty brands to release the demographics of their board and talk about how many Black people they had helping make decisions on their boards, because a lot of these brands were putting things up for Black History Month, or putting up Black squares on Instagram, or putting up Black Lives Matter statements. And she said basically that she thought that a lot of that was performative, because if they actually cared about Black voices in their company, they would hire Black people to help them make decisions. And a lot of companies did put up transparently how many Black people they had in their C-suite, and they were very honest about it, talking about how they wanted to do better. In 2021, Sharon launched a sister brand called Uoma by Sharon C, and this was meant to be a more affordable version of Uoma Beauty products sold at places like Walmart. Fast forward to January of 2023, and Sharon is in the hospital. She had lost 10 kilograms or 22 pounds in just 1 week, and doctors thought that she had stomach cancer. Now, I don't think that she ever publicly said exactly what the problem had been, but this caused her to be sick for a period of time, and she went on what she called a sabbatical. This was when she realized that running Uoma Beauty the way that she was just taking too big of a toll on her physical and mental health. She said that she wasn't getting much sleep and that she was spending so many hours, and it was just too much for her. So she decided to leave the brand in the spring of 2023. In December of 2023, Uoma Beauty was taken over by a company called MacArthur. And in February of 2025, Sharon sued MacArthur Beauty for what she called unjust enrichment. In the lawsuit, it began, "This is a case about unscrupulous corporate raiders who deceitfully and unlawfully stole a unique business that was built from the ground up by its founder, Sharon Chuter, and shareholders who have supported her business since launch." Word on the street is that in 2022, Sharon got a $6.2 million loan from MacArthur Beauty, and in that, she used the IP as collateral for the loan. And in 2023, the loan defaulted. In that, MacArthur seized everything. They allegedly acquired $50 million plus of brand assets, including the intellectual property and the trademarks, through the foreclosure process. And Sharon was out. No founder payment, no notice. She was just out. And then MacArthur Beauty relaunched Uoma Beauty, exactly as it had been. Same product, same name, same retailers, just without Sharon. Though Sharon's lawsuit was ongoing, they actually had a hearing in July. It sounds like some of the experts who had weighed in on the lawsuit didn't think Sharon was going to win. They agreed that it was morally wrong what MacArthur did to Sharon, but legally, it looked like it was a pretty solid case. On a personal note, I just want to mention how devastated I am to hear this news. Like, I'm choking up just thinking about it, because Sharon was special. Sharon was a visionary. She was a revolutionary. She was somebody who did the opposite of what e.l.f. is doing right now. She actually genuinely wanted to use her beauty brand to create change. Now, there is a post on her Instagram as one of the last posts, and she had little video clips from Muhammad Ali and from Bob Marley. And those posts were just about fighting for what's right and really being a voice for change and being that revolutionary. Sharon was different. She was a fighter. She was a revolutionary, and she'll be sorely missed. While I was gone on vacation, I was tagged mostly in two stories: the e.l.f. story with Matt Rife and this story surrounding Made by Mitchell. If you aren't familiar with Made by Mitchell, Mitchell is a makeup artist. The brand story is that they were struggling, they were having issues, but then they started on TikTok Shop and they blew up and went viral on TikTok Shop. One day they sold over $1 million in products just in one day. Right before I left, it was announced that Made by Mitchell was coming to Ulta Beauty, so in short, they're thriving. But last week, something darker surfaced underneath their bright colored packaging, and it is unprofessionalism, it's disorganization, and it's poor communication, not just by Mitchell, but the entire team over at Made by Mitchell. They had sold a dream to a small content creator, and they never followed through. The creator's name is Malachi, and he put together a 4-part series on what happened between Made by Mitchell and him over the past few years, and altogether, this content was about an hour and a half worth of information. And when I tell you that this did not drag, it did not drag. It was jam-packed in that hour and a half with information, and there was nothing that I was watching and be like, oh, he didn't need to include this. It is a long, detailed story of so many up things that happened. In that, I'm not going to tell the hour and a half long story here. Instead, what I'm going to do is I have most of the clips. They've since been deleted. Allie Dawson, who also has a makeup news show on her YouTube channel, sent me over the clips because by the time I got home and dug into it, they were already gone. So Allie sent me them over. I'm going to put them together and I'm going to put them in an unlisted link down in the video description in case you would like to watch them in full, minus the first video, which I couldn't get my hands on. Along with Malachi's post, I'm also going to include the full version of Mitchell's apology video. I'm going to show you clips of it in a bit, but I want to make sure you know that Mitchell's apology video doesn't say anything about Malachi saying anything wrong, and he seems to back up everything that Malachi said. So in the story, I'm going to present Malachi's version of what happened as fact. Malachi publicly said that the reason why he removed the videos was because hate was being sent over to the staff at Made by Mitchell. So I want to reiterate here, just as Malachi had, that please do not go over and send hate to anyone over at Made by Mitchell due to this story. The best way, if you're upset about this, to have your voice be heard is just not to buy the products if you so choose, but please do not send hate over to the company. I rewrote this story 3 times, trying to trim out anything that I could trim out to make it shorter. But it is still going to be long, but I promise you I will do my best to keep it moving. So let's start with where the story starts, with the contest that Made by Mitchell put out on their Instagram on March 15th of 2023. Now I'm going to play that video for you, and I want you to pay attention to the promises made as what the prize was going to be for the winner of this contest. It's very important.
I want you to create a makeup collection with Made by Mitchell. I want you to pick your formulas, I want you to pick the packaging, and at the end of it, you'll even be able to earn your own commission from your very own makeup collab. I've been so blessed in my life that I've been able to do so many collabs with so many amazing brands, and they have really paved my way for me to having my own makeup brand. And even though this brand, this beautiful community is Made by Mitchell, I want this to be made by you. So let's get into it, shall we? Introducing Full Face of Colour Case Challenge. The challenge where I'll be challenging you to use your colour cases for a full face. I want you to go wild. When I say full face, I mean full face. Foundation, concealer, eyeshadow, eyebrows, lips, the lot. How do you get involved? Basically, all you're gonna do is take your colour case and use it for a full face, recording a tutorial showing me exactly how you take this to the full extreme. Because as you know, I use colour cases for absolutely everything. I want to see as many entries as possible, so you guys have a full month to get involved. This challenge is worldwide, so that means anyone on this planet can be in with the chance of creating your very own makeup products with me and Made by Mitchell. I want you to really test how creative you can get. I also want you to push yourself out of your comfort zone as well, because that is when magic happens. As I said, there's a month to get involved. I will be picking the winners on the 16th of April 2023 at midnight. And then I'll be announcing the winner on the 23rd of April 2023. And of course, we need to see all of your creations, so make sure you're tagging us at Made by Mitchell and also tagging #FullFaceOfColorCase. I am so excited and so blessed to be given this opportunity.
Timeline-wise, Made by Mitchell was thriving for the first time, and it felt like this was Made by Mitchell's way of giving back. Also, interestingly, Mitchell was just coming off of a collaboration with P. Louise that went south. He did an interview about this recently. Here's a clip.
You used to work very closely with P. Louise. What's that relationship like now?
You know what? We actually don't have a relationship anymore, which is crazy. We stopped speaking. We actually had a collaboration, which many people forget about. We had a product collaboration, and basically I had created a product called the Paint. So there was the eye base, and the eye base was more so a product that you don't need to set in place, but you put your powder eyeshadow straight on top of it. And we had a great launch. And then, you know, I think after that, there was a time where my name was like taken off the paints or something like that. And it was just kind of like, huh?
Why?
I don't know. I think I, at the time, got into that collaboration at a time where I didn't really understand how to manage myself, you know what I mean? And how to ask for certain things to be put into place. I was negotiating everything myself. I didn't have a clue what I was doing. You know, I was so young at the time. And I think that for me, I was just like, okay, well, maybe I'm going to go and do my own thing, because at least then that way my name can't be taken off something. But yeah, me and Paige don't speak anymore. But one thing I will say is I'm very proud of her of what she's created.
Though contests seem altruistic on their face, really and truly, there's a huge benefit to the brand for setting up contests like this. So for example, in order to enter this contest, you had to own a face case. That is a 35-pound product. I'll pop the conversions on the screen for you. So you had to buy the product. You also had to post your entry on social media, which would then give more visibility to the brand on all these influencers' social media, aka free advertising. Free advertising that the influencer literally had to pay for. On top of that, I can only imagine how much time people put into the looks, because this was a big deal, being able to create a collection with Made by Mitchell. So I imagine some people must have spent all day, maybe even, creating these looks, uploading the content, making sure it was perfect in order to win. And then don't forget that the winner's job was not done once they won. They actually had a lot of work ahead of them in designing, in picking shades, in picking names that would take a lot of time that typically would be done by the brand. So point is, benefit wasn't just for the winner, it's also for Made by Mitchell. Let's cut to Malachi after he won the competition on April 25th of 2023. He posted on his socials, of course, how excited he was to win the contest. Here are some pictures that he submitted that led to his win. But then things started going downhill because Mitchell and his team were unprofessional from the start. It started with a meeting that they were supposed to have virtually, where it never fully got set up, and Malachi's wondering what's happening. Are we meeting? The meeting never happened. This leads to an in-person meeting in Liverpool, where Malachi had to travel on a train to get there for this meeting. Now, here I want to note that Malachi has agoraphobia, which is a fear of the outdoors. And Malachi said that this leads to panic attacks for him, that he rarely leaves the house. So going on a train to Liverpool for this meeting was a huge deal for him. This agoraphobia is so debilitating for Malachi that he can't work. He is home on disability because leaving the house is so difficult for him. But when given an opportunity like this, he felt like he needed to at least try to get to this meeting. So he gets to the meeting and nobody's there that's supposed to meet with him. He had to wait hours for Mitchell to show up for this scheduled meeting. Mitchell finally shows up and he starts hyping up Malachi, telling him that this is going to be life-changing both socially and financially for him, that he can come up with as many ideas as he wants like 30 ideas or so, and they'll whittle it down to like 10 to 15 ideas, and it's going to be his collection of 10 to 15 products. Mitchell also mentions that they're going to aim for a Christmas launch because Christmas is when they have the most sales, and that's when Malachi can make the most money. So Malachi is pumped, he's excited, and he realizes once he gets in the Uber with Mitchell to go away from the warehouse that he left his notebook and his sketchbook behind. And he's like, oh my gosh, can I go back and get my notebook and sketchbook? And Mitchell's like, well, it's closed. So what we'll do is we'll just ship them to you, no problem. The notebook and the sketchbook had all of Malachi's ideas for the collab in them that he had worked on since he found out he won. 2 months go by and he still hasn't heard anything, and he doesn't have his sketchbook and his notebook. And this is not for trying. He's emailing and trying to get his stuff and to find out what's going on, and they're just not responding. After trying to get answers from the team, Malachi breaks down, and he knows Mitchell's busy, so he's trying not to bother him, but he sends a message to Mitchell, and he's like, first, I really need my sketchbook and my notebook back. And also, are we going to get started on this thing? Because it's now June and this is supposed to be a Christmas launch, and I don't have any samples. We haven't even started on this. Like, we really need to get going if we're going to do this. Mitchell responded to him that this was typical, that this was the typical process and that they're working through it. And you don't need to have done a brand collab to know that this is absolutely not typical. So y'all, the rest of 2023 goes by and he here doesn't hear anything. Christmas comes and goes. He hears nothing until February of 2024 when again, he's emailing them like, what is going on? It seems like only when he starts to get frustrated that they actually start listening to him. And remember, Malachi is a fan of Made by Mitchell. He is a fan of Mitchell himself. He doesn't want to lose this opportunity and he doesn't want to upset the team, but he's getting really frustrated because he really wants to do this and he was promised that this would be life-changing money and that it would change his life socially as well. So in March, a full year after he won the contest, he finally hears back from the Made by Mitchell team that things are starting to move. Now, when Malachi had visited, he had asked about a non-disclosure agreement. He had asked about a contract, and they were like, oh, don't worry about it. We'll have all that for you the next time you visit. But now it's been a year, and he still hasn't signed an NDA, and he still doesn't have a contract. Eventually, he does get the NDA and he signs it, but they say the contract is coming. We're still working on it. We're running it through legal. But then things change a bit because Malachi gets a new contact and her name is Sarah. And when he meets with Sarah and talks with her, she says that they're no longer going to do the 10 to 15 piece collection. They're going to do a special Malachi bundle that he'll be able to pick from products. He'll be able to pick from products that already exist from the Made by Mitchell collection, and he can design the outer packaging.
Hi Malachi, hope you're all well. We can of course still proceed with the collaboration. Did you have any thoughts on the final products you would like to include in the bundle? Kind regards, Sarah. It's not a bundle. It was never a bundle. It was a collection. And you're not actually listening to what I'm saying. You are literally just trying to fob me off. I email back. The 11th of July. Hi Sarah, I hope you're well. As I said before, I'm not happy with the 3-piece mystery bundle because people will be expecting more considering the length of time it's been since the competition to now. Bear in mind, then it's been over a year. And other influencers have been given bundles without winning a competition. And the fact that Mitchell told me it would be a much bigger collection than this. As for the product, I feel like we keep going in circles. I've explained my ideas a few times now over the past year. Every few months it just feels like the collab's starting again from the beginning. And my questions keep being avoided with no updates being given to myself, nor even sight of a contract. This isn't exactly the treatment I was expecting when I won the competition, so I'm sure you can appreciate my massive frustration with Made by Mitchell. She gives me an email back straight away. The bundle will consist of products in Made by Mitchell x Malachi packaging, similar to the branding of the above two collaborators, for which you will be able to have an input on the design. With regards to the contract, the products will be sold on TikTok Shop with the ability for you to promote these on your TikTok account and earn a commission per sale under TikTok Shop's creator plan. The terms and conditions of this fall under TikTok Shop's creator plan and is not specific to Made by Mitchell. Kind regards, Sarah. So, in other words, she is saying that my competition win from Made by Mitchell is not a deal with Made by Mitchell. It's a deal with TikTok. And no, it wasn't. It's a deal with Made by Mitchell. I email back. I don't take time with this one. I email back straight away because I'm not having that. It's insulting. So I said, hi Sarah, I understand they consist of existing Made by Mitchell products. However, when you told me about a 3-piece bundle, you said you'd send me a list of eligible products that could go into the bundle. So where in that am I creating something new? The competition rules also stated that I get to pick the formulas too, not just the packaging. And Mitchell was all for me creating something new originally. I may as well just promote products on my own accord if that's the case. This should have all been told to me a year ago at least. All that's happened is that I've been sold a dream and ultimately screwed over, it seems. All for you to get access to my ideas with no obligation to actually pay me for them. On another note, I've been asking for a year for my notebook and art book back. Where are they? They're my property and contain sensitive information. Kind regards, Malachi. Didn't get a response.
And also, he's been working on this for a year. He's picked out colors, he's picked out shades, he's designed the packaging, he's done the drawings, he's worked so hard on this already. And they're like, well, you could pick a couple of products that already exist and we'll let you design the packaging. Absolutely freaking not. Oh, but it is not over because they continue to dick him around. Him around for so long. But eventually he does take that second trip to Liverpool. He brings a friend along to try to keep him grounded so that he can get out of the house and not have so much anxiety. So him and his friend end up in Liverpool again.
Arranged for the 11th of September. He only penciled in that day. So on the 5th, I put, hey love, hope you're good. Any news on coming to the warehouse next week? Shouldn't need a train ticket because my friend will most likely give us a lift. And he sends me another voice note.
Hello, my love. I think it's going to be Wednesday. I'm just not. I'm just waiting on Bella to just fully confirm with me. But I think it'll be Wednesday. I said you couldn't do the Monday. So yeah, I think it'll be Wednesday. But let me just fully confirm with Belle. But just make sure you pencil that in.
Okay, brilliant. I'll pencil it in. But I didn't hear anything off him. So I had to message him on the 10th, the day before that I was due to go to Liverpool. Obviously, my mate's booked off work. I need to make sure this is happening because he can't waste a day off work. So I put, hey Mitch, has Bella managed to confirm tomorrow? Also, what time would you like us there? Hope you're good. He replies to me a few hours later, hey love, so sorry, my phone was dropped in water, so only just back on it now. I thought, okay, if that's true, fine. We exchanged niceties again. He didn't confirm a time or anything like that. So later on, I just says, I'm thinking I'll be there between 12 and 1, if that's okay. So he just put, okay, that's great. See you tomorrow, my love. Messages me the next day on the day we're travelling at 5 to 12. Hi, love, what time are you going to be arriving? So I put, ran into a bit of traffic. Sat-nav says we'll be with you at 1:20. So I was going to be 20 minutes late. When we got there, I messaged him saying we were here, but there was no reply. So we waited in the car for a little bit. No one came down to greet us. Got out the car, walked up to the, what's it called? The warehouse. No one had any idea that we were there. No one had any idea we were supposed to be there. He hadn't told anyone. Me and my friend are just walking through Made by Mitchell's warehouse and all the places I'm trying to remember from the year before from our other meeting, thinking where he could be. Stumble upon the toilet, go to the toilet, have a little chat with some staff, and we eventually find him, and he's just sitting there working on something. He's got his phone next to him. He knows that I've messaged saying I'm here, but where are you? We talked a bit about my frustrations over the past year with how things have been handled. I did tell him that there was several points where I just wanted to do a video about it and just have done with it like I'm doing now. And he looked me in the eye and he says, well, that wouldn't have mattered because I don't care if you post anything negative. He didn't care that if I'd post anything, even if it was negative about the brand. I don't know whether that's just confidence in how well his brand does, which rightfully so. He has an amazing brand. He should be confident about it. But I'd question that confidence when you're screwing someone over.
Despite all of this, Mitchell reassures Malachi that the original plan is still happening. Now, not that bundle thing. We're still doing the original plan. It's still going to change your life. So Malachi is again reinvigorated because he's now working with a person from the team named Bella. And Bella seems to have her shit together. She's got a whole spreadsheet. She's got a plan. She gives him tasks to do. She says, okay, this is what you're going to do next. And Malachi's like, yes, I can do that. And he goes home and he starts working on Bella's plan, and he's working and he's working and he's working. And he's like, I haven't heard from Bella in a minute. And then he randomly gets an email from Bella and she's like, yeah, I left Made by Mitchell a month ago and I was just thinking about you and I have a feeling they didn't tell you. So just so you know, I don't work there anymore. And Malachi's like, yeah, no, they didn't tell me you didn't work there anymore. No heads up, no giving him a new person, just letting him float around, doing all this work. So now it's November of 2024, and Malachi reaches out directly to Mitchell. Mitchell sends him a voice note, and in that voice note, he says that they're going to shoot for a summer of 2025 launch for Malachi's full collection. But then he gets ghosted again, and he doesn't have Bella anymore, so who do they redirect him to? Sarah. Sarah, the one that had told him he was going to do the bundle instead of the collection and kind of laughed at him about it when he said he was supposed to do this full collection. He's back with Sarah.
In this meeting, no one had been told about the life-changing promises they offered me. No one had a clue. They didn't know that it was supposed to change my life financially or it was supposed to change my life socially, and they didn't know that it was supposed to be such a big collection. And when she found that, when she actually found out what he says to me, she had a nervous laugh. And her words were, oh, I don't know what he meant by that. I ask her about the PR list again. I ask her about the PR list. I say, well, me and Mitchell had a meeting last year. I asked if I could be on his PR list, and he says I should already be on his PR list. She says to me, oh, well, our PR person only sends it out to people that she thinks fits in with the brand. And I was like, so I don't fit in with your brand then? I'd have thought at least with all the colourful stuff you've been launching lately, I'd have fit into that. I mean, look what I did with the colour case. So yeah, apparently I don't fit in with Made by Mitchell, which was a massive kick in the teeth, especially 2 years after I'd won.
We're now at March of 2025, and Malachi is rightfully losing his patience. And he says to them, he's like, look, I'm not going to give you any more ideas. We're not going to move forward on this. We're not going to do anything else until I get a contract. I want a contract. He doesn't give up on it because remember, this is supposed to be life-changing for him. He is on disability. He is a small influencer. This is a huge deal. he doesn't want to let it go. Then Malachi is directed to Mitchell's business partner, Janine. And Janine is very strong about, you now need to communicate through me. Don't email Mitchell. Don't email anybody else. You're going to communicate through me. We're going to get this done. Malachi's like, I need a contract. Janine says, we're on it. We're going to do it. We're sending it over to legal. I'll get it to you by the end of the day. It takes 2 months for him to get that contract. And guess what's in that contract? The bundle deal. The bundle. The one that is not the prize that Malachi won. Malachi tells Janine, look, this is not the contract. This is not what I won. Please fix it so it reflects exactly what I was promised.
I want you to create a makeup collection with Made by Mitchell. I want you to pick your formulas. I want you to pick the packaging. And at the end of it, you'll even be able to earn your own commission from your very own makeup collab. This challenge is worldwide, so that means anyone on this planet can be in with the chance of creating your very own makeup products with me and Made by Mitchell.
In July of 2025, this summer of 2025, he gets a new contract that's basically the same thing. It's slightly better, but basically the same thing. It's not what he won. And Janine has the nerve, and this is my wording, Janine has the nerve to say that she can't wait to start working with him. Are you kidding me? So Malachi again waits for a follow-up from Janine, and when he doesn't hear from Janine, he sends a message to Mitchell directly, and he's fucking done. He's like, forget this. This is ridiculous. And that is the major story. Now, remember, I left out a lot. There are a lot of other little fucked up things along the way that I left out of the story. Again, that unlisted link will be down below if you want to hear it directly from Malachi. So now here comes the time when I play you Mitchell's apology. And it is meant to be an apology. Now, it's a full 10 minutes. I can't play you the whole thing. Again, full thing will be in that unlisted link, but here are some important clips.
Let's have a chat. Let's be super open and honest and transparent. First of all, and most of all, I want to apologize to Malachi for how this experience has felt for him and how it's made him feel, and for not being able to push this through the gate the way that I intended to when I first did the Full Face of Colour Case challenge. So in 2023, I did a competition called the Full Face of Colour Case, and Malachi won my competition, quite rightly. At the time, Made by Mitchell was like overnight, we just exploded. We were growing so quickly, and I had a tiny team. And something that I've learned about myself over the last probably 6 months is that I try and overpromise things, and I take on too much, and I don't really delegate the best way that I should. And that's something that I've taken from this and other things that have gone on in my life. I just try and do everything, and that's not feasible, and I make mistakes, and I've definitely made a huge mistake here, not being able to prioritize the time to get this through the gate with Malachi. It was never out of malice. It was never out of the intention of never wanting to do this with Malachi, because still to this day, I want to do this collab with Malachi, even though Malachi might not want to anymore. And there is this, the offer is still on the table with all the terms that were in the original Full Face of Colour Case competition video. In this instance, I'd said to Malachi, this can be financially and socially life-changing, because I do believe that this collaboration can be life-changing. And that's me speaking from experience. I've collaborated with many brands. I remember my first ever collabs that I did, and it really showed me what I was capable of and how I was capable to create something and become financially dependent on it, but also of the rooms that creating those products would put me in. And that's what I meant by that, by being life-changing. And Made by Mitchell now is a completely different brand to what it was 2 years ago. It's much bigger. It's a global brand now. And I truly believe that if we manage to get this through the gate, I really pray that we do, because I want to follow this through. I know it's not seemed that way for Malachi. I really understand that. But I do really think that magic can be made here. And again, there's a draft there for Malachi to either deny or agree to. But I do think that we can still make something magic happen out of this. And again, I'm never too big or too proud to be able to say that I've made a mistake. I most certainly have made mistakes in this process. I've not given it enough time. I have prioritized other things because in the moment that was what I needed to do, and I've lost sight of where I should have been prioritizing this. This is what I'm trying to say. And for that, Malachi, I am truly, truly, truly sorry. I'm doing a lot of things for the first time with Made by Mitchell, and I learn something every single day. And this whole process has been such a learning curve for me. And I think sometimes it's got to a point where I've felt like I've lost control of it, and it's got too far, and then I bury my head in the sand, and that's definitely not a good way of dealing with it. This is just what I do sometimes, and I'm working on that. That's something I definitely need to work on across all aspects of my life. But again, my intention has always been to create magic with Malachi, even when it's not seemed that way.
So what I hear is that Mitchell did not prioritize Malachi's win. That was the crux of what Mitchell said. He didn't prioritize his collection. He prioritized other collections he was launching, other products he was launching, TikTok lives, things like that. And the only thing I can think of, and this is not a slight against Malachi, is that Mitchell believed that whatever Malachi was coming up with wouldn't be a moneymaker for Made by Mitchell. That's the only thing I can think of, because as a brand, if he felt like Malachi's ideas would make him money, I do feel like he would have set it as a priority, but he saw these other launches as better money makers. That's just my opinion. I want to take a minute just to talk about Mitchell's apology, in my opinion, and this is 100% nitpicky on my end, but why is he sitting in front of underboobs? Because this background, it does not scream apology and serious to me. Like, all I could look at was boobs. Like, I was completely and totally distracted. The second thing that really resonated with me is that Mitchell had the balls, the cojones to say he still wanted to do the collaboration with Malachi. Are you freaking kidding me? This is just me. If I were Mitchell, is that he promised Malachi life-changing money. The least he can do is compensate Malachi financially for the time he spent creating this collab. That's the least that he can do. Their brand is thriving right now. There is no reason why he can't just send a little bit of money saying, thank you for your time. I know you worked so hard. Here's a little bit of compensation for the time you spent. Does he legally owe Malachi anything? No, he doesn't legally owe him anything. I just feel like it would be a nice gesture. I want to play you one more clip from Mitchell's apology video, and this is where I personally lost all respect for Mitchell.
Another thing that I really think is important for me to address on this video and just put it out there is based upon what people are saying that I have copied Malachi's ideas. I can categorically say that has not happened. I have never copied Malachi's ideas. Quite frankly, I don't need to copy someone's ideas. And while Malachi's ideas are absolutely incredible, they're Malachi's ideas. And believe it or not, I respect that they're his ideas, and again, my intention has always been for this collaboration to happen.
To me, that was rude and arrogant. Maybe you interpreted it differently, but I felt like that was Mitchell basically saying like, well, I've got better ideas than Malachi anyway. I don't need him. Rude. I just don't think that was necessary. That he didn't have to include that. He could have just said the part that he said after it about them being Malachi's ideas and he wouldn't take them. He didn't have to put that in there about him not needing Malachi's ideas. I just thought it was gross. But here on this channel, I understand that this is just my opinion, that you may have different opinions. You may agree on parts, not agree on other parts of my opinion. I would love to know your thoughts. How do you feel about Mitchell at this point? How do you feel about how things went down with Malachi? Let me know in the comments. Y'all, this Revolution Beauty story just keeps getting weirder and weirder. So last time we checked in with Makeup Revolution / Revolution Beauty, we were talking about how they had put their brand up for sale and how at first they had someone that was interested in buying and then that person pulled out, or that group pulled out. Then they had another interested buyer and Revolution was like, no, this is not going to make our shareholders happy. This is not enough. And they rejected the bid. After they rejected that bid, their stock price went down even further. Now they have taken their company off of sale. It's not for sale anymore. And they have hired back Adam Minto and Tom Allsworth. Now, if you don't know who they are, that's okay. I'm going to explain it to you. And if you do know who they are, your jaw probably dropped like mine did. Like, what? What did they do? Are you kidding me? And to me, this just screams how desperate they are to keep this brand alive. So these two guys are the founders of Makeup Revolution, and they left the company due to alleged shady business. These were the guys
Basically, they were accused of cooking the books, that they had asked their distributors to make these like really big orders for their products to inflate the numbers of their sales. But because the distributors never ended up paying for those products, it wasn't supposed to count toward their sales numbers. So they did not submit their sales numbers to the government for their valuation, for their stock price, for stockholders, all of that. And after they did that, both Tom and Adam dipped out amid all of the controversy. They were like, no, we're just gonna leave. And now the company has hired them back, which tells me that they are desperate. They are desperate, y'all. Apparently, there's been a bunch of job cuts over there as well, saving them millions of pounds. Tom is now becoming CEO. He was president before. Adam was CEO. Now Tom is going to be CEO. And Adam, we talked about this right before we left. Adam just launched his own brand that looks a lot like Revolution, like a 2025 version of Revolution. It is called Troublemaker Beauty. He just launched that brand, so he's going on just as a consultant. And as a side note, there's some products from Troublemaker Beauty that look an awful lot like Polite Society. Polite Society by the founder of Too Faced, Jared Blandino. And remember when Revolution copied Too Faced's chocolate bar palette idea? And there's so many layers to this, just make my mind go Anyway, so Revolution Beauty chairman Ian McDonald stated that the business has lost its way and needed a return to the founder-led management team. Sales for Revolution Beauty have reportedly decreased 25.5% year on year. Gross margin also sank to 38.2%, down 8% from 2024. So I'll keep watching. We'll see if Tom and Adam can save Revolution, because this seems like a last-ditch effort. All right, take a breath. Whew, so many stories. I told you, it's like action-packed. So now we're going to talk about Ulta and Target, because that is a whole nother thing. So there's Ulta and Target together, and then there's issues going with Target and issues going with Ulta. So let's talk about them together. So Ulta is ending their shop-in-shop experience with Target, and it's ending by August of 2026. But the question is, why? What went wrong? Theories are starting to circulate. We do know they missed their goal of being in 800 Target stores. They missed it by about 200 stores. And that's because they stopped expanding into new Target stores this past April. And what we didn't know at the time was this was probably the beginning of the end of the partnership. Experts like Neil Saunders, he's the managing director of insights firm Global Data's US retail arm. He said, quote, what started off as pretty sharp execution has just descended into a bit of a mess. This is how the partnership works. So Target paid Ulta Beauty a royalty on the products sold, and in return, they took ownership of inventory and staffing. The selection was also available on Target's website. But apparently it wasn't a complete flop. According to the Business of Beauty investment bank, William Blair estimates that by the end of 2024's financial year, revenue from Target shop-in-shops reached $465 million, a 16% increase on the previous year, representing about 4% of Ulta Beauty's total revenue. It also reported that 3 million customers had linked their Target loyalty card to their Ulta Beauty loyalty program. Some of the issues noted were that because Ultas were located in Targets that were also near freestanding Ulta Beauty stores, if people wanted to go to Ulta, they just went to the freestanding store. And the reason why they went there was because the Target Ulta experience wasn't nearly as good as the freestanding Ulta experience. Allow me to explain. So if you think about it, if Target's taking control of the retail experience of the Ulta section, they're putting a Target employee in that Ulta section. If someone's applying for a job at Target, it may not be the same person that would apply for a job at Ulta. You know what I mean? They may not have that passion for beauty as someone who seeks out an Ulta job. Also, what they were doing is that it wasn't like a dedicated Ulta employee that was working in there. They could be put anywhere in the store. So you could have someone that usually works in the clothing department or somebody that works in the tech department now all of a
a sudden in the Ulta department. Also, the shopping experience was just weird because a lot of times they would have ropes. I know my Target is like this. There's a rope that goes around the Ulta section, and in order to buy something at the Ulta section, you have to check out at the Ulta counter, and you can't even fit your shopping cart through the Ulta. You have to leave it outside. Sometimes there's already carts outside. There's also the issue of the fact that Target's beauty section is literally right next to the Ulta beauty section. It was just kind of a mess. Like, in theory, it sounded good because it would bring new brands to Target, but overall, it was not as good as anticipated. In short, it looked like Ulta, but it didn't feel like Ulta. Buzz is also buzzing about the conflicting political stances that both Target and Ulta have presented publicly. So Target has rolled back DEI initiatives. They got a lot of press for pushing their Pride merchandise during Pride Month to the back of the store in some stores, where Ulta Beauty is the exact opposite. They celebrate that they have a diverse group of people at their core. They also highlight LGBTQ plus brands. And their brand ethos is quoted as a commitment to using beauty to create a more inclusive world and to ensure all guests feel reflected and welcomed. But it is important to note that publicly, neither brand is talking shit about the other one. It seems pretty amicable as a split. And I feel like the reason why is because Target doesn't need Ulta and Ulta doesn't need Target. They're both doing, okay, well, we'll talk about it in a second. Ulta's doing very well on its own. Target, I don't think it benefited enough from Ulta. It made sense that they split. They really weren't benefiting from each other. And speaking of that, that leads us into what's happening over at Target. So their CEO is leaving his position. His name is Brian Cornell, and he's been CEO of Target for the past 11 years. He's stepping down as of February 1st of 2026, and he's being replaced with their chief operating officer. His name is Michael Fidelki. Michael Fidelki has been working for Target in various administrative roles for the past 20 years. But Brian isn't going away. He is still going to be the chairman of their board. So he is still going to be there making big decisions and as a big voice within Target. The stock market did not love this change over at Target. Their stock price was down more than 8% early morning trading after the company announced both Michael's appointment and another quarter of disappointing sales. Target has reported flat or declining comparable sales in 9 out of the past 11 quarters. One of Michael's top priorities, he says, is to fix the problem with products being out of stock at Target and also the mess. There's a lot of mess happening at Target with disorganized shelves, clothing on the floor, stuff like that. Now, let's move on to what's going on with Ulta. They have big things happening over there. Ulta has hired 2 new people who you may have never heard of. I've never heard of them, but they are kind of a big deal. So their names are Martin Brock and Stephanie Landry. Martin Brock, he is the former global president and CEO of Sephora. He was with Sephora for 2 years from 2020 to 2022, but I'm sure he learned a lot while he was there. The juicy bit is the reason why he left. Reportedly, it was because of a divergence of views. And to me, that would suggest that he doesn't really have a loyalty to Sephora and might share some things with the Ulta team if he hadn't signed an NDA that stops him from doing that. So what about Stephanie Landry? Well, she has been working for Amazon, specifically in the grocery department. Now, you may be asking yourself, like I asked myself, why would that be a good fit for Ulta? Allow Kevin James Bennett, he is an industry expert, allow him to explain. He said in his Substack post, Landry was VP of Prime Now, Amazon Fresh, and Whole Foods Online. She understands something that many beauty executives still struggle with: how to create seamless omni-channel experiences that actually work. More importantly, she knows how to do it at a massive scale while maintaining operational efficiency. That's the kind of operational flexibility Ulta needs as it continues continues expanding beyond traditional beauty retail. Kevin's full article on his Substack will be linked down below. So in my opinion, this and other recent business moves, I feel like Ulta's going in a really interesting direction because they're focusing mostly on expansion. They have expanded now into Mexico. They bought Space NK in the UK. They're expanding into the Middle East. This is a huge deal for Ulta. Beyond that, they also need to keep the pulse on the digital experience. A lot of people are shopping online, and I feel like Stephanie is really gonna help them to do that, to really figure out how to curate that online experience. Ulta's also expanding their wellness category. They're going to have more wellness stuff in their stores, including categories like functional fragrance, sleep solutions, and sexual wellness. In short, I think that Ulta is poised for tremendous growth. And I have a feeling these new hires are going to be a huge part of that expansion. In more business news, Anastasia Beverly Hills may be in some big trouble financially. So on August 8th, they missed a big loan payment, both on the principal and the interest of a $650 million term loan. Because of that, two major credit rating agencies immediately downgraded the company to bad, like really bad. S&P was blunt. They said they dropped ABH's rating all the way to D, which is basically like a default kind of rating. And this is even after they worked out a deal to delay this payment until September 10th of 2025. S&P still views this as a default because ABH didn't make their payment. Investor service Moody's pointed out that the company has very high debt, negative cash flow, and shrinking sales compared to competitors. Right now, ABH's yearly revenue is reported under $300 million. And as of March 31st, they had only about $40 million in cash left after the credit line expired. Now, I know that sounds like a lot of money, but keep this in perspective in that in 2018, when they took out that loan, they had over a $3 billion valuation. They were crushing it. They had over $340 million in sales, and the profits were just soaring. It's not over till it's over, but yikes. And this is just my personal commentary. I feel like they just dropped the ball. And when I posted about this on TikTok, a lot of the people over there were saying similar things. They blamed Norvina mostly of how she changed the brand in 2018. They stopped really working with influencers and on social media to promote the products as much. They also came out with lower quality products. They started pushing out their palettes that people were collecting. They started pushing them out too fast and people couldn't collect them anymore. And people just felt like ABH had been a person to them, that Norvina had been a person to them, and now they just weren't anymore. They were a business just trying to make money. It's the same thing that's going on with e.l.f., the same thing that happened with Target. When customers get an idea of who your brand is and then you go completely against that, they will turn on you like that. And that's why people are going against Target so hard for their drop of DEI practices, because they had set themselves up before as being such a social warrior. And then when they flipped the script on that, people were like, no, you're absolutely not. Like, we knew this about Walmart that was probably like that, but Target we thought was different. And I think that's why people have been harder on them, why people are being really hard on e.l.f. right now, and why people abandon Anastasia Beverly Hills. It also did not help when Anastasia herself was caught liking pictures of half-naked Vladimir Putin. Norvina stopped being the face of the brand. Influencers stopped promoting the heck out of their products. Plus, just influencer culture changed so much between 2019 and now. But again, I'm super curious what you think about ABH not doing financially as well as they used to. What do you blame it on? Let me know in the comments. And finally, for our lighthearted story, y'all, by the time I got to the end of this very, very long script and rewriting that Made by Mitchell script 3 times, I looked for a lighthearted story. I couldn't find anything that was actually really good. Like, I found some stuff that was like, nah. So I'm going to leave. I know this is a weird choice, but some of y'all might care. I'm going to leave you with a photo montage from my vacation.
because I can't think of anything else to put in lighthearted. And it is lighthearted because we had a fabulous time. We went to Vancouver Island. It was amazing. Like the Canadians are amazing. They drive so well over there. Like there's spaces between the cars and people actually drive close to the speed limit. Nobody cuts anybody off. People let pedestrians cross the street. I mean, it was wild. It was amazing. We loved it. Here's a little photo montage.
Live your life within the moment, and don't go wait until the morning. You never know when it is over. All that I know is we'll get older. So let us dance this night away. Bodies move to the groove and the light that flickers. We get lost in the crowd, it's getting thicker. We get away from the drinks and chatter. Haven't said a word, but it doesn't matter. Feel the air get thinner. Standing in a blurry dream. No one else can see.
That, my friend, was What's Up in Makeup this week. Thank you so much for watching. And of course, as always, thank you to the What's Up in Makeup Facebook hunters. Their names are scrolling below me. Thank you for all of your submissions this week and last week. I appreciate you so much. You may have noticed that I did not get the product report into this show. I do have some products that I want to talk to you about, so I'm going to try to get my shit together to talk about them in live chat today. That's going to be at 10 a.m. Eastern time. You can always check it out on the replay by going to my channel page, clicking on the live tab for how's there, or if you're subscribed, they're just sitting in your subscription feed ready for you to watch. But if you would like to watch something right now, I would love for you to stay. YouTube should be recommending 2 videos over here for you to watch. And the bottom one is going to be the top news segment that I put up 2 weeks ago. The top one is going to be one YouTube thinks you're going to love based on what you've been watching recently. But if you gotta go because you got stuff going on, thank you so much for watching. I hope you loved the show. I know it was a long one. I hope you found it interesting. Mad love to you. I will see you in a video very soon. Bye.